Fracking is personal and dear to me because it's happening all over the United States. And for me, I wanted to create a piece about fracking, drilling for natural gas, because it's happening where I grew up. It's a very controversial issue. There are positives and negatives to the issue. And as an artist, I wanted to explore that topic in a bunch of different ways. But primarily, I wanted to talk about the environmental impacts. The first section of What the Frack is environment in its natural habitat that is introspective and quiet and healthy. In my head, I just really saw all of the action moving from stage left across to stage right as a series of solos or small, quiet duets. And the idea was that the dancers were creating this very introspective, healthy, internalized movement that was natural. Not that they were particularly animals in the woods, but that their solos were healthy. And then the second section for me is really, although it's the most abstract in some ways, it's really the most concrete movement kinesthetic idea. It's the drilling piece. So the very first part, you'll see the dancers up on their toes and leaning forward, and that for me is the search for oil, or in this case, the search for natural gas. The third section for me, in some ways, is the most fun, and for me, this is perspective of social voices. So it is, there's this controversial topic and there are many people that feel very differently and each voice is valid but different. And so it's what I call my social commentary. It's the, I need to have my voice heard and be put out there, and it's very exaggerated and expressive and overdone, but each voice is trying to get the other group to listen to them, but my point is valid. And so it's this constantly talking at each other but not really ever coming to any kind of an agreement. And then finally, section 4 is, it comes back to section 1, and I wanted it to really be an exact replica of section 1, except that maybe now that all the chemicals have gone into the ground and now that we don't know what the future is because there hasn't been quite enough research to say what's going to be happening, that maybe that environment's not as healthy as it once was.
Robin approached me at the end of last school year about doing a project. She had used a couple of my pieces in the past for pieces that she was putting together, and she asked if I would be interested in working on a full-length, several movement work, and I said, of course, I'd be thrilled to. I went in basically with no preconceived ideas. I asked Robin basically what it was that she wanted to convey with the project, and then I had her be as descriptive as possible with what she wanted to do, and then I tried to make the music fit that as best as I could with my ability as a writer. I wouldn't say I have a set creative process other than thinking about the subject matter that I'm trying to convey, and then coming up with music, whether it be a chord progression or starting with a chord progression, or sometimes it'll start with a melody, or sometimes start with a drum feel or something that kind of conveys that idea, and then build off of that and then flesh out the idea as it kind of grows. So it starts with one of those initial components, whether it's melody or harmony or rhythm. It will always draw from some sort of inspiration, something that like a moment in my life that has occurred that means something to me, and I try to capture that with sound. So for this project, it was taking Robin's ideas and how she felt about the given topics or movements, and then trying to capture that with sound. My goal for this piece was to take Robin's ideas and stay as true to they were, as true as she specified them. So I guess in essence, make the music, take the music and write the music and make it sound exactly like, as close as possible to what she wanted. There was no doubt in my mind that if I did a good job, that her ideas would come out the way she depicted them, both in the dance and also through the sound of the music.
My goals for the project were sort of twofold. Artistically, I didn't have a sound in my head. I'm not a composer and I couldn't even fathom what that was like, but I definitely had very clear ideas I wanted to portray through each section. And so I tried to use as many descriptor words as possible to talk to Kareem, and he would ask clarifying questions so that he could, as an artist himself, create what that might be. And then he would come back and play some things for me, and we would hone in further and talk further. Students at SOTA are relatively aware of social justice issues. We teach a lot of social justice issues at SOTA, and so being able to create an art piece that they see as an instructor is close to my heart and something that's happening, even though it's not happening right here in Tacoma where they live, lets them gain awareness. And I would say they're already relatively aware of environmental issues or other social justice issues. I think that they felt very invested in this piece because I think young people of today, and certainly my dance students who performed in this piece, I think they want to approach the world as I can be the change. And whether it's making art, which is, I hope, how I'm encouraging them as an instructor, that is voicing opinions out there or just offering an opinion for social justice issues, or whether they go explore other more scientific or more academic ways. I think it's benefited them, and I definitely see that they care about it. They really care about this piece, and they are fully invested in it.